Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and most area schools are closed today due to the timing of that snowfall, but Frank Granito will have the latest on the forecast in a bit. We also bring you the latest news, including a search for a Norwalk credit card thief, a team honoring the memory of a young New Canaan hockey player, and much more. Frank will also have your Nutmeg Sports update later in the show, and Donald Eng will join us to take a look back on this day in history. But first, Norwalk detectives need help identifying a suspect they say racked up thousands of dollars worth of bills using stolen credit card information. Now, on October 19th, that suspect made several $1,000s worth of fraudulent purchases of jewelry and handbags at the Westfield Trumbull Mall and then Saks Fifth Avenue in Greenwich using the victim's store credit cards. Well, the suspect had the sales associate look up the accounts using the victim's personal information and then opened several other store credit cards in the victim's name as well. Now, anyone who can identify the suspect or has any information is asked to contact detectives at 203-854-3190. They can also leave anonymous tips at 203-854-3111 or through norwalkpd.com. And in other news, a New Canaan man has been charged after a 14-year-old crashed an ATV on his property. 65-year-old Robert William Avery was arrested for first-degree reckless endangerment of a child after a 14-year-old boy crashed the all-terrain vehicle owned by Avery into a tree on his property. Now, on Saturday, January 13th, Avery surrendered himself to New Canaan police on that active warrant for the incident, which took place back in December. On December 8th, around 6 p.m., police were called to 197 Deep Valley Road after they were told that a boy had crashed an ATV into a tree and suffered facial lacerations and was transported to the Norwalk emergency room. Now, there are multiple warnings on the ATV and in the owner's manual that the driver of an ATV should be over 16. Police also found through the investigation that the boy was not wearing a helmet at the time of that crash. Now, Avery posted a $5,000 bond and was given a court date of January 26th. And two juveniles are under arrest after Trumbull police said they tried to steal a car from the parking lot of LA Fitness at the Westfield Mall Monday while the owner was inside working out. Now, Trumbull police said the car owner, a Bridgeport resident, was working out at the gym at about 5:30 p.m. and he left his keys and other belongings in an unlocked locker in the men's locker room. Well, one of the suspects reportedly entered the locker room and took those keys. Now, a Trumbull officer who was patrolling the area spotted the suspect and an accomplice acting suspiciously in the parking lot while trying to locate the vehicle to match the stolen keys. Well, the two juveniles were arrested a short time later and the keys were recovered. Now, both were charged with 6th-degree larceny as well as criminal attempt at 3rd-degree larceny and criminal trespass. They're scheduled to appear in court January 26. Now, there have been 8 vehicle thefts from LA Fitness within the past several weeks while gym members were using the facility. And an online underage sex sting operation has led to the arrest of 5 men by Guilford police. Now, according to officials, Operation Not in My Town was a collaborative effort between Guilford Police, the New Haven State's Attorney, and Veterans for Child Rescue Foundation. Police arrested 30-year-old Robert Pressey, 41-year-old Marvin Dunkley, and 24-year-old Gregorio Diaz, all of New Haven, as well as 44-year-old Kevin Millen of Ellington and 29-year-old Sergey Bordonaro of Boston, Massachusetts. Now, officials say the men had gone online using various social media applications and arranged sexual liaisons with fictional children. Well, all 5 are facing charges of criminal attempt to commit sexual assault and risk of injury to a minor. And in other news, the U.S. Marshals Service is increasing its reward from $1,500 to up to $2,500 for information leading to the arrest of an inmate who escaped from a Connecticut state prison. Now, 25-year-old Jerry Mercado escaped from the Carl Robinson Correctional Facility in Enfield on January 7th. Mercado was sentenced in August 2016 to 3 years for burglary. Well, the U.S. Marshals Violent Fugitive Task Force announced Tuesday it was offering a larger reward for information leading to his arrest. Authorities believe Mercado may have stowed away in the undercarriage of a garbage truck or state vehicle to escape. The U.S. Marshals say the inmate may have fled Connecticut and could be hiding in neighboring states, including New York City metro area, where a tip was recently generated. All right, taking a turn now, we're going to throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at your forecast. Frank.
All right, thank you, Kate. Not as much snow as we expected overnight, but we're getting hit with a little bit of it today now. Looking around 2 to 4 inches in various parts of the state. We're going to see snow at times during the day and warm enough where it'll also turn into a rain. A high of 37 and temperatures will hover right around there, down to 33. The snowfall should stop early on this afternoon. We'll start to see skies clear up overnight, and it'll be cold out. Temperatures down into the mid-teens. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow and a little chilly out as well, right around the freezing point with a high of 32 expected. Clear skies for the first half of tomorrow night. We'll see some cloud cover starting to develop for what will be a mostly sunny Friday around Fairfield County. A little bit of sun and clouds throughout the day. A high of 34 as we head to what should be a warmer weekend. That'll do it for this weather update. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Eng will give you a look back on this day in history. Frank has your Nutmeg Sports Update, and we have more local news right after this.
Voted best gourmet to go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Yeah, Dad.
Kyle, I need you to update the financial statements.
I took care of that yesterday, Dad.
Mac, I need you to get those deals approved.
They're all done, Mr. Miller.
Jeff, I need you to order lunch for the meeting. They can't do a thing without me.
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
I'm never going to retire.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
Welcome back to this January 17th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. It's time to take a look back on this day in history with Donald Eng. Don.
Well, Kate, does one of the world's most iconic companies owe its success to a murderer? The answer is yes, and I'll tell you why in a second. First, though, we go to 395. Following the death of the Emperor Theodosius, the Roman Empire is permanently divided into the Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Empire. Looking at the map, north and south probably would have been a better division, but within 85 years, the Western Empire had ceased to function administratively, but the Eastern Empire, also called the Byzantine Empire, held on for another millennia, lasting until 1453. By the way, the terms Eastern Empire and Byzantine Empire are modern terms. The inhabitants living there at the time considered themselves Romans. To 1913 now, the partners in a chain of 36 Golden Rule general stores consolidate their shares and incorporate as one company under the store's founder, James Cash Penny. Did you know the C in Penny stands for cash? It does, and the chain made lots of it, peaking at 2,053 stores and the equivalent of $30 billion in revenue in the mid-1970s. 1950 now, 11 thieves steal more than $2 million from the Brinks Armored Car Company in Boston. The plan was not to touch it for 6 years until the statute of limitations runs out, but 2 of the thieves were busted for an unrelated robbery, and they demanded a share of the loot for their legal defenses. And the whole scheme generally unraveled after that. They raced to rat each other out. Finally, now we go to 1977 in Utah for this.
Last one to see him, and I was terribly emotional. I mean, I was in shock. And I went over and, gave him a hug.
We were all lined up in a half circle, and the warden went over to Gary and says, "Do you have anything else you want to say?" And he says, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yes, it was on this date in 1977, Gary Gilmore, responsible for two thefts and murders, executed by firing squad in Utah, the first execution in the country following a 10-year Supreme Court moratorium. Now, you heard Gilmore, who originally was from Portland, which is also home to Nike and the ad company Whedon and Kennedy. You heard Gilmore's last words there. He said, "Let's do it." Well, agency founder Dan Whedon has said that he based the company's slogan on Gilmore's last words. That is your look back in history for today, January 17th, and I'm Don Lang.
Thanks so much, Don. Well, in other local news, in an effort to save costs, Weston High School announced last week that its annual graduation ceremony will be held in the school gymnasium this year rather than under an outdoor tent at the school as it has done in the past. But fallout from the decision has gotten intense, leading to opposition from students in a petition drive. Well, in a letter from Weston School Superintendent William McCursey dated Thursday, January 11th, he explained that the cost of holding the graduation ceremony under the tent is more than $20,000. He wrote, "This includes installation, chair rentals for both inside and outside, as well as security and sound system." He said, "We can no longer bear this cost given the fiscally challenging times facing the district." He explained there were positives to have a graduation in the gym, including air conditioning as well as elevated seating and better handicapped seating. But McCursey said he and Weston High School Principal Lisa Diorio met with student leaders of the senior class to explain the decision. He encouraged students to offer their suggestions on ways to make the graduation the best it could be. However, many students have reacted negatively to this announcement, and a petition started by seniors on change.org asked the Weston Board of Education to review the decision to hold graduation in the gym. As of Monday, that petition had nearly 500 signatures. You can get more on that story at aspetuck.news. And if you want to attend a resistance march in New York City on Saturday, buses to the protest are being organized by the Women's March Ridgefield chapter. Now, the Ridgefield-based Facebook group, which began as people organized to go to last year's protests in Washington on President Trump's inauguration weekend, has filled one bus and is working on filling a second one this week. Now, Jessica Mancini, who has been organizing activities with Amy Berger-Giavallo, said that they will be leaving from Ridgefield High School parking lot at 8 a.m. on the 20th and returning at 6 p.m. Now, group members are also going to marches planned Saturday in Hartford and Boston, and some are taking trains to New York rather than going on the bus. Organizers added that they added the second bus late last week after President Trump's remarks opposing immigrants from places like Haiti and Africa as opposed to Norway, prompting new outrage and more people wanting to join that resistance protest. Well, for information or to reserve a seat on the bus, you can get more at theridgefieldpress.com. And in Easton, the lack of a sidewalk on a proposed replacement bridge and whether its extended length and guardrail might block access to existing trails raised some concerns among several members of Easton's Planning and Zoning Commission during a recent hearing. Well, the comments focused on the South Park Avenue Bridge over the Mill River near Riverside Lane, which now is limited to one lane because of structural concerns. The town plans to replace that bridge, initially built in 1947, next summer. Now, Commission member Ross Ogden pointed out that people, primarily fishermen, walk across the bridge and also access an Aspetuck Land Trust fishing preserve and town open space near it. He worried trail access might be cut off by the longer bridge and guardrail. And alternate Justin Giorlando said that sidewalks should have been considered when the new bridge was designed, pointing out the structure could last up to 75 to 100 years. Well, town engineer Ed Nagy questioned if a sidewalk was necessary because the road to the south is narrow and curvy, making it a dangerous place to walk. Well, there's much more on that story at aspetuck.news. And looking ahead to 2018, an aggressive effort to hold down the budget and taxes in Ridgefield seems to be the overriding priority in town in light of federal tax changes that First Selectman Rudy Marconi expects will increase the burden on many residents as the deductions for local taxes are now limited to $10,000 for a combination of state income and town property taxes, a lot less than many Ridgefielders are accustomed to deducting on their federal tax returns. Well, Marconi said because of the most recent federal tax plan voted on and impacting communities like ours, he said, "I think we're really going to need to look at our budget very closely." Marconi said goals for the 2018-19 budget that the selectmen discussed with finance and school boards back in December now don't seem aggressive enough when they were looking not to exceed 2.5% increases overall. Well, Marconi said, "You may find our recommendations this year are going to be extremely meager." Much more on that story at theridgefieldpress.com. And the New Canaan hockey community is mourning the death of 10-year-old Nico Malazzi. As we reported earlier this week, the New Canaan fourth grader died of complications from the flu on Sunday. He had been in upstate New York to support his youth team in a hockey event when he became increasingly ill and later died. Well, New Canaan High School boys hockey has found a way to honor Nico's memory. They shared a photo to Twitter that you just saw with a helmet with the initials MN for Nico Malazzi. Now, those initials will be on every player's helmet, and they say every game for the remainder of the season will be dedicated to his memory. All right, taking a turn now, we're going to throw it over to Frank Granito for your Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
All right, thank you, Kate. Let's take a look back at last night. The HA Network live at Ridgefield High School girls hoops in FCIAC play. The Tigers hosting the Greenwich Cardinal, and Ridgefield extending their win streak now to 5 games, 57-28. They take down the Cardinals. It all started with an 11-0 run as the Tigers jumped out to an early lead and never looked back. Let's take a look at the highlights from last night.
Is no good. Battle for the board. And controlling that one is Wagner. Quickly up ahead. Good passing and a better finish. Nicely done. There's Colonel now in on the board. Wagner to Colonel again inside, and we're going to see a timeout taken. As the pass too hot to handle for Lamore. Colonel out in transition. Kokenmeister chasing her down, and she gets the lane to go.
Look at that.
There's Caroline Colonel inside. No good. Battle for the rebound. She's got her own. Glazowski, open three. Yes.
You see the offense they're running here. They're just waiting for that moment that Katie Flynn finds a free space here. There we go. Yep, right there. Perfect.
Oh, good look, and another finish inside for Garson. She's got 4 points in the quarter.
So the Tigers continuing to improve upon their FCIAC standings. They'll move up into the 4th spot by themselves. Greenwich now in a little bit of trouble with tough games looming ahead as they sit on the outside looking in at the top 8. Other girls basketball scores around the county last night. Stanford over McMahon, 46-34. Darien outlasting Danbury 34-32 in a defensive struggle. You had Trinity Catholic over New Canaan 60-45. Wilton escaping St. Joe's 57-54 as the Warriors continue their hot streak. And Ward 57 to West Hills 42. So the girls really starting to position themselves now as we hit the midway point of January here. Kevin and I will break down the playoff picture later on this afternoon. We'll have plenty more on last night's game. We might even be joined by a special guest looking ahead to boys basketball later on this week. Kate, let's send it back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, we're going to recap the top stories we're following today after this.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, recapping the top stories we're following today. Norwalk detectives need help identifying a suspect they say racked up thousands of dollars worth of bills using stolen credit cards. On October 19th, the suspect made several $1,000s worth of fraudulent purchases of jewelry and handbags at the Westfield Trumbull Mall and then at Saks Fifth Avenue in Greenwich, using the victim's store credit cards. Well, the suspect had the sales associates look up the accounts using the victim's personal information and opened several other store credit cards in the victim's name as well. Now, anyone who can identify the suspect or has any information is asked to contact detectives at 203-854-3190. They can also leave anonymous tips through norwalkpd.com. And a New Canaan man has been charged after a 14-year-old crashed an ATV on his property. 65-year-old Robert William Avery was arrested for first-degree reckless endangerment of a child after a 14-year-old boy crashed an all-terrain vehicle owned by Avery into a tree on his property. Now, on Saturday, January 13th, Avery surrendered himself to New Canaan police on that active warrant for the incident, which took place back in December. On December 8th, around 6 p.m., police were dispatched to 197 Deep Valley Road after they were told that a boy had crashed an ATV into a tree and suffered facial lacerations. He was transported to the Norwalk emergency room. Now, police say there are multiple warnings on the ATV and in the owner's manual that the driver should be over 16 years old. Police also found through the investigation that the boy was not wearing a helmet at the time of that crash. Well, Avery posted a $5,000 bond and was given a court date of January 26th. And 2 juveniles are under arrest after Trumbull police said they tried to steal a car from the parking lot of LA Fitness at the Westfield Trumbull Mall Monday while the owner was inside working out. Well, police said the car owner, a Bridgeport resident, was working out at the gym at about 5:30 p.m. and he left his keys and other belongings in an unlocked locker in the men's locker room. One of the suspects reportedly entered the locker room and took the keys. A Trumbull officer who was patrolling spotted the suspect and an accomplice acting suspiciously in the parking lot while they were trying to locate the vehicle to match those stolen keys. Well, the 2 juveniles were arrested a short time later and the keys were recovered. Both were charged with 6th-degree larceny and criminal attempt at 3rd-degree larceny, as well as criminal trespass. Now, they are scheduled to appear in court on January 26th. There have been 8 vehicle thefts from that LA Fitness within the past several weeks. Much more at TrumbullTimes.com. And an online underage sexting operation has led to the arrest of 5 men by Guilford police. Now, according to officials, Operation Not in My Town was a collaborative effort between Guilford Police, the New Haven State's Attorney, and Veterans for Child Rescue Foundation. Now, police arrested 30-year-old Robert Pressey, 41-year-old Marvin Dunkley, and 24-year-old Gregorio Diaz, all of New Haven. 44-year-old Kevin Millen of Ellington and 29-year-old Sergio Bordenaro of Boston, Massachusetts were also arrested. Officials say the men had gone online using various social media applications and arranged sexual liaisons with fictional children. Well, all 5 are facing charges of criminal attempt to commit sexual assault, as well as criminal attempt of risk of injury to a minor. And the U.S. Marshals Service is increasing its reward from $1,500 to up to $2,500 for any information leading to the arrest of an inmate who escaped from a Connecticut state prison. 25-year-old Jerry Mercado escaped from the Carl Robinson Correctional Facility in Enfield on January 7th. He had been sentenced in August 2016 to 3 years for burglary. Well, the U.S. Marshals Violent Fugitive Task Force announced Tuesday it was offering a larger reward for information leading to his arrest. Authorities believe Mercado may have stowed away in the undercarriage of a garbage truck or a state vehicle to escape. The U.S. Marshals say the inmate may have fled Connecticut and could be hiding in neighboring states, including the New York City metro area where a tip was recently generated. All right, well, let's take one final look at your forecast with Frank Granito. Frank.
All right, thank you, Kate. Again, we're seeing on and off periods of snow and rain outside right now. Temperatures are going to sit in the mid-30s, so you'll see periods of snow showers now combined with rain through the early afternoon. Things should start to clear up later on this evening. We'll see an accumulation of 2 to 4 inches depending on where you are around the state. Clearing skies overnight, cold out with a low of around 12 to 14 degrees. Should be sunny tomorrow though, still a little cooler out, a high of only 31. Clear skies for the first half of Thursday night, a little bit of cloud cover moving in before Friday morning. Mostly sunny skies on Friday, a high of 34, but things should start to warm up when we hit the weekend. I'm back at 2 o'clock with Kevin Coleman. We got plenty coming up on Nutmeg Sports. For now though, we send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. And coming up in just a bit at 12:30 on CT Pulse, we're talking with Bridgeport Hospital's head of infectious diseases about this year's flu season. That, again, coming up at 12:30. But we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break. We'll see you tomorrow at 11. Have a great day.